Hey, welcome back. So, I can start today with like a Christian-y type note because the only other note I have is about abortion. And I don't have a very Christian perspective on abortion. So here's kind of like a Christian-y thing that here. This is like well, like when I was at my job that I hated, my dad was like, God has you there because like you're learning to something important, and like you'll realize it later. And he was right. Um, so like this is like the same kind of thing where like, oh, I'm really struggling to meet people. And if I was kind of looking at that through a Christian perspective, I could say like, God doesn't want me to meet somebody until I'm like the person I'm supposed to be. Like there's still something I have to do to meet. I'm not ready to meet my partner yet. I don't always really look at things through a Christian perspective, but like that does kind of click with me. I mean, the problem is like that I always have is like, why add God into that equation? Why? What's the extra step for? Like, can't that just exist without God? I mean, but whatever. I'm a Christian, so that's how I view it. Just add God in. I mean, God's like an extra ingredient in the soup, right? Sometimes I think about God as like the cosmic middleman, but like he's like you make a soup, you need the broth. God's the broth. Like life is the chicken, or is God the chicken? Is God the chicken or the broth? I think God is the broth, and like the life stuff is the chicken. Does that make sense? It's funny whenever I watch the Reiki videos. Sometimes they'll. I'm trying to think of an example. Sometimes they're trying to explain something, like how a rock helps your heart chakra or whatever. And she'll be like, so this amethyst kind of amplifies your ethereal, emotional heart in the fifth dimension, if that makes sense. And then every time she does that, I'm like, it does not make sense. No, it doesn't. Whenever I say, if that makes sense, it's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah, that Reiki stuff is kind of wacky, but it's, I don't know, do what you gotta do. I like it. I like watching it. It relaxes me. So it's working. Those freaking rocks work on me. But let's talk about something more fun. Abortion. So I was reading this article. So I've been questioning. Because I mean I did kind of always grow up with the thought that like life begins at conception, and somehow that's biblical. And I can remember the verse always being the Psalm from David, I knitted you together in my mother's womb, and being like, oh yeah, that's proof. See, it says in the Bible that life begins at conception. But I was reading an article from like a doctor who is a Christian, and he was saying like, yeah, pretty much that's it. Life begins at conception. It says it in the Bible. There's uncertainty there for me, and if there's uncertainty, then I don't think it's worth risking like all the negative health effects of not allowing abortion. And I don't know, I remember hearing an argument that's like, oh, if there's any uncertainty, then that means that you should. Like, I feel like the argument I heard once was like, okay, yeah, it's uncertain when life begins, but let's say you have a baby, or you have a crate, and a house is on fire, and your house is on fire, and like you have to save. If you were if there was like a 0.1% chance that a a baby was in that crate, would you save it? And you'd be like, yeah, because like I'm not sure, but I kind of view it the other way. Why? That like the uncertainty means that like we should. Well, because there's so many negative effects. In that analogy, there's no negative effect of like, I mean, you guess you could try to save the baby and then you die. Or like you don't save your VCR and then you get outside and you open up the crate and there's no baby and you're like, no, I could have saved the VCR. VCR, oh my god. How old am I? Oop. But like, I hear like a lot of negative effects of like not giving women abortion care and like health care, and it's like not good. It's like for society. So to me, it's like there's two crates. I don't know. I don't know how to fix this analogy. But yeah, I don't know. I got sidetracked by the analogy. That one didn't click with me. That analogy. I'm like, eh. And I could spend time trying to figure out why, but I wanted to just get to the zygotes already. So yeah, the kind of fundamental. Christians kind of view things so black and white, where they'll say life begins at conception, and so therefore all life from conception to death is equally valuable. And to me, I don't know. I mean, I might get into. I haven't really thought about this that much, but I might get into like a weird eugenics territory. I don't know, like where I'm gonna go with this. I don't want to go that way. I don't think I'm gonna go that way, but like that's something that's coming up in my head, because here's what I want to say: all life is equal, but not all life is equally valuable. Because I thought of this example of like, if I was 120 years old. And let's talk about the baby because we love babies in burning buildings for some reason. And I was in I don't know, like I could only save me or the baby. I would save the baby because I would value the baby's life more than mine as like a 120-year-old person. I mean, I shouldn't have said that eugenics thing before. It's just like the trolley problem, kind of like, how do you value life? It's not an easy question. And so, like, people who think it's an easy question are the people who I don't like the most. On both sides. People who are like, oh, this is so easy to answer. Just make everybody get abortions. Or, like, no abortions forever. Like, those are both kind of equally... It's not an easy answer. How much do you value human life? I mean, human life is like... And so that's why I think there should be a lot of regulations and policies about like how to handle abortion, because it's not easy. You should allow abortions in this case, like you shouldn't allow abortions in this case, whatever. Wow, I'm not cleaning this at all. I need the wood cleaner. Do I have it? Nope. So this article that I was reading, I guess that was the point. He was talking about like the zygote with 10 cells is like equally as valuable as a baby, and he's kind of saying like, well, where do you make the cutoff? Like, if a zygote with 10 cells is a life, then what is a zygote with 9 cells? Is it not life? And I'm thinking like, why does it have to be so black and white? Why can't it be a scale of value? Like the old man, me, is worth less than the baby, kind of. I mean, we're all worth a lot because we're all human. And being human is worth a lot to a human, me. I'm a human. Human life is very valuable to me. But in cases like that you have to make a choice, like you're in a burning building, I mean, that's an analogy for a lot of women. Like they're in a burning building and they have to choose the baby or me. It's not an easy choice. And like, yeah. So okay, I didn't make a eugenics argument, so you can't turn that into any eugenics stuff of like, well, if a baby is disabled, you should kill it. You don't do that. If I was 120 years old, I think a zygote is obviously more valuable than a rock, and it has the potential for human life, which bumps it up and makes it more valuable to me than like an ant or something. If I had to choose between an ant and a human zygote, I'd choose the zygote. But this article I was reading was saying that all life from conception to death is equally valuable. That's why the argument kind of frustrates me, and I feel like that's the only way I can articulate why. It's just like, they view it either as life or not life. Is it life? Well, then you can't kill it. Is it not life? Well, then you can kill it. And that's kind of what progressive people will argue too. Well, they'll just say like, oh, it's not life, so it doesn't matter. And I'm like, ugh, I don't know. It's like, it is potential. It is potential. It's very obviously potential, and potential. If you view it objectively, like 10 cells, okay, it's not the same thing as a baby. And that's why Christians will be like, well, then where's the cutoff? Because is it 8 months in the womb? Like, you want to kill an 8-month fetus? Well, if you can't do that, then you can't kill a 10-cell zygote, because then where's your cutoff? I don't have a cutoff. It's not clear in the Bible when life begins. It's clear that life is important. But I'm sure I could find examples in the Bible of how certain lives are more valuable than other lives. The people in Sodom and Gomorrah were not valuable. God killed all of them. So those people's lives weren't valuable. So not all lives are equally valuable to God. Zygotes. I don't know. I wish a Christian was watching and kind of tell me like what they think about this thought, because when people, here's my thing, is like what I said, a zygote is more valuable than an ant to me. I care more about a zygote than I care about an ant, because it has a potential to be a human. But I don't care as much about a zygote as I care about a 6-month-old fetus. And maybe I don't care as much about a 6-month-old fetus as I care about a 5-year-old child. I still care a lot about all those things because they're all human, and we should do whatever we can to like protect them. And like in a perfect world, all babies all the time. Give me all the babies. They're all good. But in a society, you have to make trolley problem decisions. Like, this is a trolley problem decision. And it's Um, not easy. It's not easy. Don't say it's easy, because it's not. I think that's more of a Christian problem. I'll be like, it's easy. All life is don't kill babies. It's like, that's not. Yeah, I mean, don't kill a baby. It's weird. Don't do that. um, but yeah, just policy-wise and society-wise, like, I do think it's good to make rules about, like, alright, like, if the baby can survive outside the mom, maybe we shouldn't kill it. Like, it can survive, so, like, the potential is really there. But, like, if the baby has a heart defect and they're gonna die, like, in the womb, then okay, you can do the abortion, right? Obviously, you can do the abortion in that case. If the mother doesn't want the child and it's a zygote, then that's where it's tough. But I guess I would allow them to have that decision. I would want them to have that decision and not kind of force them to have a birth that they don't want. Because I value the mother's life, and pregnancy is not a easy thing. It can be traumatic, especially if you don't want the kid. So at that point, I think I do value the mother's comfort over the life of the zygote. It's hard to say it like that, but I think I mean, comfort. I value not giving the mother trauma. And for the mother to make the decision about, like, will having this baby be traumatic for me? If I believe so, then I mean, that's where I am right now. If it's the mother wants to not have the baby, like I don't know, like, if the mother decides, like, on month 8 that she doesn't want the baby, then it's like, okay, you still gotta do this because it's a fetus, and, like, it's basically like a person right now. But if the mother decides, like, after, I don't know, I feel like that's a new take for me, because in the past, I guess well, because I am a not sex-having person, I can be kind of like, well, I don't care about the people who have sex all the time. And that's what I was kind of, my monkeypox take is like, can you just, like, stop it? Like, why is it so hard to just stop? Like, look at me, just do what I'm doing. It's not that hard. Just play video games, and, like, for 2 months, and you'll not get monkeypox. Like, who cares? And so sometimes I could have a little bit of a harsher take on abortion, because I'm just like, well, just, that's not gonna happen to me, so, like, just don't do it. Just don't have sex. It's easy. Just do what I'm doing. But I am trying to have empathy for the sex-having people, of which I am not one. And be like, these people, they have hard choices, and, like, they're just living their life. And I mean, you can even get into the thing of, like, well, they're not Christians, so, like, why? I mean, that's a theocracy, for sure. Because there's no scientific evidence that, like, a zygote is human life, and that's what you're basing your argument on. So if we make a rule that its underlying assumption is that life begins at conception, that's a theocratic law, because it's based on a theology. It's not based on any kind of science or sociological benefit to society. It's based on a religion that says that life begins at conception. It's not based on sociology or anything like that, or science, any kind of science, because no science says that. Because science doesn't define life. I don't know. No, it does. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I gotta end. It's so long. I didn't finish. Oh, I'm so close. I did 8 videos today, and they went by quick because I like this game. It's my favorite game. I like this game. It's my favorite. Let's clean this thing, and then we'll be done. And what should I eat for dinner today? Should I have a hot dog? I've been making chicken fried rice, which is nice because I make it and it like lasts for 3 days. And it's kind of easy to make. All you gotta do is you get some chicken and you get some rice and you fry it up and you throw some onions in there and you got your chicken fried rice. Actually, I've been using green onions, but I should try it with like regular onions. I feel like I would like that better. Yellow onions or whatever. Okay. That was Anthony's cooking corner. Next week we will talk about hamburgers. How do you make a hamburger? You buy the hamburger and you put it on a frying pan, and there you go. You got your hamburger. Okay, see ya. Bye.